Welcome to the home of trustfundgirls.com. This empty site appeared on the web on December 18, 2003, and within a couple months, a gallery appears featuring very not safe for work freeze frames of Paris and Rick, along with a bunch of fresh sales copy. It says, if you're looking for the world-famous Trust Fund Girl video, you've come to the right place. This video is more than 10 times longer than the illegal one traded around the internet and shows the original Trust Fund Girl in her rarest, hottest moments ever caught on tape. So obviously whoever wrote this was being very careful not to use Paris Hilton's name when marketing this video, which featured 37 minutes of footage of Paris and Rick at higher quality and with better lighting than the viral teaser video and with more, quote, action scenes. TrustFundGirls.com was selling this so-called upgraded film for $50, and that would let buyers watch the video up to 5 times in 5 days. Now, immediately after this mystery website starts hawking this footage, Paris files a lawsuit against a company named Kahatani Limited in early February 2004. In this suit, she claims that Kahatani broadcast a 45-minute video of her and Rick online, and so she slapped them with a $30 million lawsuit for illegally sharing the video, for violating her privacy and publicity rights, and for causing her severe damage emotionally and financially. And those damage claims are totally justified if somebody was selling this footage of her without her permission. Now, y'all, I could not find any paper trail whatsoever for this company, Kahatani Limited. I couldn't find any websites for them. I couldn't find any company registrations. They were not represented by an attorney in court records. I couldn't tie them to Marvat or Rick or this new Trust Fund Girls website that was selling the video. But Harris's lawsuit against this mysterious Kahatani Limited is eventually going to get dropped later in the story. And by the time we get to that, you definitely might have some guesses about who is behind it. But for now, let's get back to that strange new site, TrustFundGirls.com. Whoever launched this site was ready to market it to the public, and what better audience to target than the mostly male listeners of Howard Stern? It was a unique Venn diagram of folks who were just as obsessed with sex as they were deprived of it, and who had no problem whatsoever with demeaning women. In mid-February 2004, a mystery man, going only by the name of Mike, hits up Howard to share the news about his new online venture. E! News reported TrustFundGirls.com had its nationwide coming out party last Wednesday on Howard Stern's radio show. Stern raved about the picture quality. Adult Video News wrote, there's a new and improved version of the infamous amateur porn tape starring Rick Solomon and Paris Hilton in circulation, available only at TrustFundGirls.com. This guy who calls himself Mike tells Howard that he owns the rights to the video, but he doesn't give up many other details. He won't give his real name, he won't say how he got the video, though he does say he did not get it from Donald Thrasher, and he won't say whether Paris and Rick had anything to do with this new Trust Fund Girl site. And as far as Paris's lawsuit against Kahatani Limited, Mike said that had nothing to do with him. Well, after this mystery Mike guy drops this bomb that now there's a high-quality, well-lit, 37-minute video of Paris Hilton available for any heartless horn dog to buy online, the web goes crazy, downloading Windows media players so that they can view this tape and forking up $50 for their 5 days of viewing so that they can schedule their work week. But Mike's interview with Howard did more than boost sales on TrustFundGirls.com, which, by the way, was reportedly making up to $2.5 million per day. His call to the radio show also grabbed the internet's attention in another way. It got him asking, who was Mike? People wanted to know who was behind this new enterprise, especially after all the legal drama that had surrounded this tape in the news for so long. So soon a group of web sleuths from a site called Wooba.com decided to use their hacker skills to track down the creator of TrustFundGirls.com. Wooba discovered a secret European server that was attached to the site through a web portal that was accidentally left open, whatever that means to you techie folks who are watching. But the bottom line is that this server that they found showed them details about who owned the domain TrustFundGirls.com, and the name they saw for the owner looked very familiar. It was Jim Solomon, who, as it turns out, is the brother of Rick Solomon. Now, this is not the only website that appears to have been set up by Rick's bro, though. I found a blog created around the same time by a guy named James. And if you don't know, Jim is a nickname for James. The first post of this blog says, "Welcome to the Paris Hilton sex tape news site." And it shares any news article about Paris Hilton that might attract traffic to its banner, where it plugs over 37 minutes of rare and never-before-seen footage with a link to a video file called Trust Fund Girls. So at this point, between this blog and the story that the Wooba sleuths dropped cracking the code about Rick's brother owning the Trust Fund Girls site, it becomes very obvious that Rick was intimately involved in releasing the full version of this video online, and so Rick is forced to go on a public confession tour. A few days after Wooba's report, Rick talks to a show called Celebrity Justice, hosted by our buddy Harvey Levin, where Rick fesses up to releasing the full version of the tape online, but he insists that he didn't have anything to do with the leaking of that original 3-minute teaser that the news media got. Instead, he says he only decided to make the tape public after the Hiltons badmouthed him and suggested that he drugged Paris and took advantage of her. He said, "If they want to play dirty with me, I'm going to play dirty. I've got a million tapes. I'm going to bury them, and everybody can see it and enjoy it and see that this girl was a willing participant." Now, it is also worth pointing out that it was only a few days after the Hilton team dragged Rick in the press and blamed him for that original teaser video that Rick registered himself as the copyright owner of a home video recorded in 2001. So obviously he wanted to make sure he staked his claim and this footage that was clearly set to become a valuable commodity.
My friends told me years ago, before I was even anything, he said he knew I was going to be famous and he was going to film it. Make a lot of money. So he knew.
You're like obsessed. You always film me.
After the Wooba story broke that Rick Solomon's brother was actually behind this Trust Fund Girls site, Rick doubles down on his claim to the footage, saying, "It's my tape. I own it. I filmed it. I have this thing set up in 17 different jurisdictions from India to Amsterdam to London." Rick insists that he is the only one who owns this footage, but lawyers told the show Celebrity Justice that there was no way that he could legally sell this tape if Paris had not given him permission. Now that said, let's not forget that this website, Trust Fund Girls, was set up across seas, which makes it extremely difficult to shut down because US courts have very little control over people in other countries. That could explain why Rick said he'd be surprised if he got sued by anybody for the site. He said, "Paris knew people watched it. She knew I showed it to people. There were never any objections. She showed it to a couple of her friends, you know what I mean? And she wanted to make sure that she looked good. Not for her, but for other people too." And let me just say right here, just because Paris participated in making the video and she wanted to look good on it, and even if she chose to share it with a few friends, that does not in any way mean that she gave permission for everybody in the world to see it. But that doesn't matter to Rick because he went on the Howard Stern show around this time and said, "I don't feel any guilt about it. It hasn't really hurt her, and now I'm capitalizing on it. Everybody said I did this tape, everybody thought I did it, and so I figured I might as well just make a ton of money and go surfing."
You know, in the beginning they said that I raped her and she was incapacitated and you couldn't see the whites of her eyes. And, you know, I have a full color version on trustfundgirls.com, trustfundgirls.com. You can see it was two people in love enjoying sex. Everybody has sex and, it's, you know, two people very much in love and having a good time.
It was like being electronically raped.
I don't think about it.
He doesn't exist as far as we're concerned.
What did Donald Trump say to you?
Oh, he was angry.
What he did was a total violation of a relationship, and I think it's disgusting. He benefited, he made money from it. What he did should not be allowed.
You know, right before my Simple Life comes out, like a week before, or 2 weeks, I don't know what it was, like he planned it so it would be just in time to get a lot of press or whatever. It was just humiliating. And then people were saying that I did it. It was just like, why would I do that? Like, who would want people to see something like that? And plus, if I was gonna do something like that, I would look hot. I looked gross in that video.
Now, one person who enjoyed this footage of Paris and Rick, who might surprise you given her history, was Pamela Anderson. If you watched my previous episode on Pam and Tommy's tape, then you know that Pam claimed to be devastated after a private video of her and her husband Tommy Lee having sex was allegedly stolen from her home and sold to the public without her consent. But apparently that did not stop Pam from watching Paris's tape with Rick, another video that was reportedly stolen and released without the participants' permission, because Rick says that Pam viewed the footage with him one night at his place. Pam also confirmed that she saw the tape because she told Access Hollywood that she gives it 2 thumbs up. But she did have one bit of constructive criticism, telling the New York Times that Paris should have kept her shoes on. And honestly, y'all, to me this is so sus, because why would Pam admit to watching this footage and invading Paris's privacy when she had claimed it was so hurtful that the public watched her tape with Tommy without her consent? Also, why would she be hanging around with a dude who was broadcasting private tapes if she had been so destroyed by her own personal video being shared? Could it be that Pam knew her friend Paris was cool with the tape being shown? Was it possible that Pam had plotted to release her own video from the jump? Could that explain why Pamela Anderson not only hung out with Rick Solomon, but actually dated and even eventually married him, even though he should have been the last guy on the planet that she was attracted to, given her history? It don't add up, and I have lots of questions, but anyway, let's move on to the pots of tea left to spill in this story, because if you thought there were a lot of shady collaborations going on in this video so far, y'all just wait, because Rick Solomon is about to join forces with the Blatt Brothers, and together this crew of clowns is gonna take this footage of Paris to an unbelievable new level.